I might be getting a tattoo.
Oh my gosh. No, you're not getting a tattoo.
No, I really might.
We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah, but where you wrote on me in Sharpie and I was looking at it in the mirror today, I really liked it. Mine would be smaller than that and the script would be a little bit better and I could read it easier, but I like it still.
No, you need to lay down and let it pass. You don't need to do it.
Let it pass.
It's going to look really cute now, but when we're on the beach, when we're 90,
because
when you're 90 and I'm 92, I'm going to be saying, that tattoo you got on you looks really good.
Can't even read what it says.
Your boob's going to be sagging over.
The wrinkles will call it.
I'm going to say, it looks really good, and it'll be that weird green color by then.
As much fun as I love talking to you, now we get to talk to Sheriff Peyton Grinnell. I'm excited, aren't you?
Yes, Peyton's coming on for our first podcast today. We've been waiting a long time to do this. We've manifested our podcast.
We did actually do that.
We really have. You've been manifesting for a while now. You're a manifesting monster.
I am.
And we said we were going to do it, and here we are.
High five.
Today's guest is Lake County Sheriff Peyton Grinnell. Peyton has been sheriff of Lake County since 2016. He's a Marine Corps veteran, a native Floridian, and more importantly, he's a graduate of Leesburg High School in 1986, right?
Yeah, go Yellow Jackets.
That's right.
Welcome. You're on our first podcast, so you're making history with us.
Awesome. Glad to be here.
So when we were getting ready for our podcast today and we were thinking about some of the questions that we could ask you, I actually asked my 13-year-old on the way to school this morning and said, what do you think we should ask the sheriff as the first question? And he said, ask him how he is. This is a hard job. And I'm like, okay, I hadn't thought about that because you have such a tough persona. You come off so, like, I've watched some of your previous PSAs where you said, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
But it is hard, and you are human. So how are you?
I'm good. Obviously, since the events on August the 2nd where Master Deputy Bradley Link was shot and killed, it's been rough for our agency. We're still hurting. We've got a great support system in place, and that includes our citizens in this county. So I'm very thankful that they're behind us and really involved in helping the recovery process.
Real quick, just curious, the deputy that was injured, how is he doing?
Yeah, we had 2 injured, actually. Master Deputy Gargano, who's still in the hospital over in Sanford's, had 7 surgeries so far. I think his 8th is scheduled for tomorrow. He's recovering, and Master Deputy Howell is already out of the hospital, and he's expected to make a full recovery as well.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah.
I watched your comments that you made at the memorial service. You did fantastic with that. You handled that fantastically. But how do you know how to comfort and what to say? Do you just pull it from the heart? How do you know what to say? Because you pulled no punches. You described the call when his cell phone rang. You pulled no punches, which we appreciate that because you've always been like that with us. You've always been honest and you've told us the truth as the sheriff.
Yeah, that was very difficult to do. But I felt that the story needed to be told, what these deputies face out there. I had a lot of senior sheriffs in this state that were giving me some guidance, and I'm very grateful for that. Something I hope I never have to do again.
Yeah, it's been a while since Lake County has had to do that, but everybody rallied together. All the press that I saw that was covered was just amazing, the turnout, the community. Your 900 plus deputies, right? You have about 900 plus people that work for you?
Yeah.
They all came together.
A large agency, and but even though we're large, we're small in a sense of family. We take care of one another there. Obviously, supported by a great community here in Lake County. And we're just very blessed to have the support that we have for law enforcement here, and it's something we don't take for granted. We work hard every day to keep that public trust, and when we mess up, we let people know we mess up, but we fix it and we move on. And but I'm just so grateful. We couldn't get through this without the support of our citizens.
One of the things I've noticed, and you said that, is that as many deputy sheriffs, sheriff's deputies as you have, Lake County, it still feels small because we grew up here, but the population has skyrocketed. It's just, you turn around, it's hard to drive certain places, things like that. How are you guys dealing with the population explosion because it's not as the crow flies in this county.
Yeah, Lake County is one of the fastest growing counties in the state of Florida. We're somewhere around 440,000 now in population, expected to be over 500,000 in 5 years. And we realize that. So, I have a constitutional duty to make sure that we provide efficient, effective law enforcement services to our citizens. So I have to look at that when we're strategizing how to move forward. And we need extra men and women out there, protecting our citizens to keep up with this population growth. And it's something that's very concerning to me is making sure that we don't get behind. If you get behind in this business, it's almost impossible to catch up.
Is there a certain area that you see more growth in, or is it just across the board?
It's really across the board. You look at our northwest side with the villages. You go down south. This county's 1,156 square miles, 1,400 named lakes. It's kind of hard to drive in a straight line, but all the way down to 192, close to Disney. All of that growth that we're seeing there on Highway 27. And then the east side of our county, out around Sorrento. I can remember when I started here in 93, that was pretty much horse farms, 5, 10, 20 acre horse farms. And now they're just subdivision after subdivision. And a lot of those people live here in Lake County, but they actually go in Osceola and Orange County for employment. So people move here because it's a great county. We have great schools. And I'm a little biased, but I think we have the best law enforcement.
I agree.
When I mentioned in the intro that you were a graduate of Leesburg High School. I think growing up in the 80s was the greatest time to be in high school. I mean, the late 80s was, middle to late 80s was a great time. What do you think about Leesburg now as compared to growing up here? I think it was awesome in the 80s. So it's crowded, but it's still a great place to be. So what do you think? Well, what was it like being a teenager in 1986 in Leesburg?
Yeah, I probably did the same thing you did. You make the loop through McDonald's about 15 times on a Saturday night, seeing who's there. And
yeah, that didn't change.
But, Leesburg's still a great city. And, Leesburg High School was still a great school. And Principal Randolph there has done a fantastic job. I didn't like school much, to be honest with you. And so I figured out very quickly that they had a program in high school where you could get a job and go to work and get school credit. I think it was called DECA.
When I graduated in 93 from Leesburg, I remember calling it DCT, but you're probably, I remember that.
So my junior and senior year, I was working at public supermarkets and got out of school early, and I thought that was pretty cool. You didn't have to go to school and you could get a paycheck. And the 80s was great. I remember the Stretch Armstrongs and how your girl's hair looked back then. I thought it was pretty cool.
Big hair.
Yeah,
Well, I'm a little bit younger than y'all at the table, so my hair might not have been as
Not much. I'm the class of 1990, and I went to South Sumter, so it was.
So we're all three
Yeah,
Florida natives grew up here. Yeah.
From right here. So it was a great time. But I worked in Center Hill. We had nothing, so we had to come to Leesburg for everything. So I worked at Winn-Dixie. So I know what you mean about the Publix and the Winn-Dixie era.
Yeah. Publix supermarkets obviously still a great company, but it was a really great company back in the 80s. And I can still remember the store manager, John J. Kimmons and Bob Slaymaker that I worked for, and just taught me a lot about work ethic and hustling and being responsible. And so that kind of set me up to go into the military. And I was fortunate to have those store managers that honestly were kind of hard on me as a young kid. But looking back, I'm glad they were.
Yeah, I think Winn-Dixie taught me a lot too, dealing with angry customers and just how to handle people in general. So you're probably right. Publix was probably right around the same line. So how did you make the transition from joining the military, being in the Marine Corps all this time, to going into being a deputy? And you've always been a deputy in Lake County, right?
Yeah, so I joined the Marine Corps right out of high school in 1986, and really, really enjoyed that. Glad I did it. I will tell you that I ended up doing about an extra 6 months in the Marine Corps because of Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and the Persian Gulf War. Was due to get out, but then they involuntarily extended me and sent me over there for that. And at the time, my high school sweetheart, my wife, was up at George Washington University on a swim scholarship. So that was the hardest phone call I had to make, was to tell her I wasn't going to be getting out of the Marine Corps. But, fast forward to, I guess it would have been about April of 91, I did get out. And believe it or not, I could not get a job up there in the Washington, D.C. area as a law enforcement officer. So God evidently had a plan for me. And once she graduated, we moved back here to Lake County, and I went to the police academy it was called VOTEC now, but it's Lake Technical College today. And then the rest is history. I just was blessed to get hired on. It's been a great experience. We really are family there at the sheriff's office, and I can't think of anything that I'd rather do than to continue to serve our citizens here in this county and take care of our employees.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Sheriff Peyton Grinnell.
Nobody wants an aging family member who is unable to care for themselves to be home alone. Lake Center Home Care believes the best healing happens when you are most comfortable. The company provides exceptional personal care in the comfort and privacy of your own home. Whether you need skilled nursing, physical therapy, home health aides, or companion services, your loved ones will enjoy peace of mind knowing you're being taken care of and treated with respect and dignity. Lake Center Home Care is locally owned and managed with a team of highly qualified professionals who are passionate about taking care of their neighbors. Call 352-315-0050 or visit golchc.com to learn more about this amazing company.
We're back with Lake County Sheriff Peyton Grinnell. So you mentioned a few minutes ago that you had to extend when you were in the Marine Corps. You were about to get out. You've got to tell us that story.
Yeah, so I had 23, 24 days left in my enlistment, and was really excited to move up with my wife. We had a little one-bedroom apartment in Arlington, Virginia, and we had a company formation, and the company commander came out there, and he said, "Raise your hand if you're due to get out of the Marine Corps." And I shot my hand up real quick. I was excited to be getting out, and he said, "Well, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is you're not getting out of the Marine Corps, and the bad news is you're not getting out of the Marine Corps. It's up to you if it's good news or bad news. Congratulations, we're going to war." And it took me a minute to kind of let that sink in, and I asked one of my buddies, I said, "What did he mean by that?" And he said, "You've been involuntarily extended. Stop-loss program's been activated." And like I said, that was a difficult phone call to make to Jennifer and let her know that I wasn't coming home. So, but anyway, it all worked out, and served an additional right at 6 months over in Iraq, and time went by pretty quick, and here I am today. So,
what do you think was the hardest part of serving overseas? Just
being away from family. We were a real tight unit over there, and supported one another, so that wasn't an issue. And the Marines are very unique in their brotherhood and camaraderie, and so other than missing your family, and I look at the soldiers today that are deployed, and with the advent of technology and being able to Skype and Zoom, and we didn't have that. We had to wait in lines to utilize phone banks that they would set up via satellite services and things like that. And I don't know if it would be more difficult being able to Zoom with your family members or like we had, not having that, because it's kind of like you have to relive the moment of missing your family over and over and over. So
I can imagine it would be in your face more when you're Zooming and you're seeing what you're missing out on, things like that.
Yeah, so I don't know. Obviously I haven't experienced that. That would be interesting to talk to somebody serving today that's been through that. And, I guess it could have pros and cons.
I know we're in a campaign election year. You're not having to run this term, but what do you think about how ugly campaigns and politics has gotten now compared to when you first started running? You might have made a different choice to run for sheriff, knowing how anything goes now. People can make up all kinds of lies, all kinds of craziness. Some of the stuff, even for the primary election I saw coming out, I'm like, what?
It's awful. A lot of it. In all honesty, I've unfollowed quite a few things like on social media just because I swear some of the things people say, I'm like, it has nothing to do with anything related to the campaign whatsoever.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I remember, and I was blessed to go the last 2 election cycles unopposed. But I remember in 2016 when I filed to run for office, there was a local reporter here back then. Her name was Lauren Ritchie. And we met for lunch, and she said, "So I hear you filed to run for office." And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I have." And she said, "Well, I hope you've got thick skin." And I didn't realize what she meant at that point in time, but quickly found out. So yeah, campaigns can get ugly, and I just I had a lot of good mentorship when I was running in 2016, and I just talked about me and what I wanted to do, and and what we stood for with our campaign, and didn't attack anybody else. And I was attacked, but the Air Force has a saying that if you're getting flack, you're over your target. So, I just stayed on my mission and didn't get sidetracked and detracted, from some of the negative comments about me. But you're right. It's seems like it's gotten even uglier.
It has, even locally. So you expect it nationally, but when you see it locally in your hometown, it's kind of, I guess I shouldn't be shocked because that's just the way it is now, but sometimes it's just like, really? Can we talk about policy? Can we talk about why you're the better candidate?
Absolutely.
And that's not what it is a lot of the time. It's just not.
At the sheriff's office, did you guys get together and decide, hey, before you ran, Peyton's going to be the guy and we're going to back him? I know I've had conversations. I grew up in Sumter County and grew up with Pat, the one who's running for sheriff now. And I was joking, class of 1990, we were all joking and talking one day. And I'm like, how did you guys decide it was going to be Pat? And one of my other friends, I'm not going to say any names, Darren, but he was like, we all went to high school together. Pat's the one who nobody can come after for anything. Pat's the clean one. So how did you guys come up with that and everybody get behind you?
Well, it's actually an interesting story. It was like March of 2016. And my predecessor, Gary Borders, was the current sheriff, and he had filed to run for office again and was a pre-qualified candidate at the time. And I was sitting in my office, and he walked in one morning, and he looked at me. He goes, "Hey, I've got some news." And I said, "Yes, sir, what's that?" And he said, "I'm going to withdraw my candidacy to run for sheriff. Are you ready for the job?" And it didn't really hit me right away what he was saying. So I didn't see it coming. And after I had a minute to think about it, and I said, "Well, sir, I think you have me in this position for that reason. So I'll step up." And then from that point on, it was just working hard, telling people what I was going to do and what I stood for, and it just went from there. And we didn't have much time because that was in March, and so you had a primary that summer. And in Lake County, and I think it's still pretty much the same today, the elections in Lake County are won in the primary. So we had to hustle. But I had a great network of volunteers. Somebody told me there's 3 things you need for a campaign: money, message, and manpower, or girl power. But
yeah.
So you need those 3 things to run a campaign. And I was very blessed to have a great team of volunteers and people that believed in me. And when I won that election, I never will forget, one of my great mentors, he's since retired, Bob McKee, called me. And he said, "Did you happen to notice something in your election?" I said, "Yeah, I won." He goes, "No, something more important than that." And he said, "More people in your election in 2017, for the 2017 office, voted for the office of sheriff than they did for the President of the United States."
Wow.
And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "So let that sink in, how important this position is to the people of Lake County." And I've never forgot that. It gave me goosebumps when he told me that. And I went and looked it up, and he was right. There were more ballots cast for the office of sheriff than there were for the President of the United States.
That speaks volumes.
It does. Well, because safety is such an important issue. And so many of us, if we actually probably knew what goes on that we're not made aware of, would, it'd make us nervous. But knowing that someone that's in charge and the people underneath them respect him and do a good job, it makes
personal to us.
It is very personal.
We don't,
especially when you have kids.
Right. Most of the time, we never get to really know who our president is, who are the leaders of our country are. But you're it for us. You're the one who takes care of Lake County. So that's a huge privilege. What do your kids think about Dad being sheriff?
Yeah, well, so obviously I missed a lot of swimming meets and baseball games along the way, but they're grown now and they're very proud of me. And my daughter just gave me my first grandchild on August the 1st. So my grandson Leland, that's just a joy. I can't wait to see him tonight, as a matter of fact. But Blake is he's followed in the footsteps of our family, our tradition. He's serving in the Army now. He's out in Joint Base Lewis McChord out in Washington State. And so I'm very proud of that. He kept the circle unbroken. My dad was a Huey gunship pilot in Vietnam, and his dad and uncle were in World War II. So I'm glad that we're able to carry that tradition on of service to country.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Sheriff Peyton Grinnell about what he does for fun.
Are you ready for your future to take flight? Whether you're graduating high school or looking to level up, Lake Sumter State College offers affordable degrees and certificates that will punch your ticket to success in a rewarding career. Plus, with programs like Direct Connect to UCF, your opportunities with LSSC are endless. So, what are you waiting for? Join us in Leesburg, Claremont, Sumterville, Four Corners, or online. Learn more at lssc.edu.
Welcome back to our conversation with Sheriff Peyton Grinnell.
Okay, so we talked about professionally, but I'm curious, what do you like to do for fun? What is good for you to decompress, chill out? What do you like to do?
Yeah, really anything in the outdoors. I spend a lot of time over in Homosassa doing some fishing, things like that. Have a little place up in Georgia that I go during hunting season. But I got to tell you, since my grandson's been born, that might be where I start spending a little more time, because you want to talk about just being able to decompress and relax. When you look down at a little kid like that just smiling up at you, it's very therapeutic.
I can imagine. I know when I had my first child, it was like I can remember things that my parents, they would get on to me for, she could do no wrong. Still at 20 years old, she's perfect. She can do no wrong. I'm like, are these the same people that raised me? So that is amazing. I'm glad to hear that. So do you like to flats fish or offshore fish?
Both, actually. I do, and just depending on what's going on, the type of season, and where the fish are biting, so I'll adjust accordingly. But, catching a fish is a bonus. Just being out on a boat is just a wonderful thing.
Is there a certain fish you haven't caught that you want to catch? I know that's how it is in my house. There's I don't know, is it the trifecta? It's like the permit, the redfish. What's the other one?
Yeah, I have not ever caught a blue marlin, so that's a bucket list thing for me. I don't think I'll catch one in Homosassa, but I do intend to do that before, not too long in a distant future anyway.
That's awesome.
Being out on the water is like healing to me. I don't care if it's the lake, I don't care if it's Crystal River or the Gulf, wherever. That's where I become Lori again. Is that how you are with it? It's soothing to me. I either need woods or water, and that's when my soul is at peace.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether we're out fishing or maybe just take the boat down to the Hernando Sandbar and just hang out and watch people have a good time. Just being out on the water is therapeutic and a great way to relax.
I know with being in Lake County, do you have a favorite lake you like to go out on?
I like the chain of lakes. Actually, this is kind of embarrassing, but I had never been to the Mount Dore Sandbar until last month.
Seriously?
So I've been one time.
All of your friends have been there.
Is that the one on Lake Eustis? Is it Lake Eustis Sandbar?
Lake Dore.
Lake Dore?
Yeah, you
All
go
the way
through
over.
through the Dore Canal, and that was a very interesting experience.
I'm sure whoever lives in that big house right there
loves it.
Just
Absolutely.
love. If I lived in that house, I've said multiple times, I would have toilets out there that I'd be selling passes to. I'd have a hot dog stand, whatever.
Well, speaking of the selling, I don't know if you noticed this or you're out there, a very good friend of mine who's actually, her son is one of my son's best friends, is a genius. And he has a boat out there and he sells ice cream.
He's like,
anything.
I saw him.
Gavin.
16.
Gavin's
I bought
making
ice cream.
bank.
I bought ice cream
Yeah,
from him.
it's a genius thing.
Yeah, I saw him out there. I had a big bucket hat on, some sunglasses, and one of those fake mustaches, and I was having a fun time. So,
Well, we know you don't have to run for office this time. You got a pass from all the craziness with the campaigning. So, what do you want to do? What do you want to do in your next term? How do you want to see Lake County change and grow under your command?
yeah, so earlier we were talking about the population explosion in this county, and so I've got staff right now looking at how we can, redesign our zones in this county for coverage. We're going to actually have to reduce the span of control, if you will, for the deputies and the area that they cover by adding additional zones in the county. So staff is actually looking at that. They're going to give me a proposal. But one of the things that I'm really excited about is the technology in law enforcement now. The license plate readers that we've been able to put out, as well as the real-time crime center that we launched a little over a year ago. And we are hoping that our residents, and we've had a lot do this so far, but almost, I would say the majority of homeowners now have some type of camera system on their home externally. And so we want our homeowners to register with us to let us know that they have those cameras. Not so we can take them over and view them or anything, but if we have a series of car burglaries in a certain subdivision, and by the way, lock your cars, they tend to go to unlocked vehicles. Mm-hmm. But if we have that, rash of car burglaries in the subdivision, my detectives in the real-time crime center pull up the map, and then they can see the dots, if you will, of who in that subdivision has external cameras on their home. And then we email that person if they've registered with us, and we say, hey, Lori, please check your cameras between midnight and 4 o'clock in the morning and see if there's anything on there that's suspicious to you. And if there is, give us a call. That has paid dividends for us because the cameras never sleep. You do, but more often than not, the citizen will say, hey, yeah, we just see this white vehicle going real slow through the neighborhood at 1:30 in the morning, and then we're able to take that lead and hopefully solve the crime. So that's something that's really growing. We now have every camera of all the public schools in this school district real time in our real-time crime center. So my detectives and my analysts can log into any one of those cameras on our public school campus and see what's going on in real time. I hope I never need it, but we have it in the event something happens on one of our campuses. And that's going to be important for saving some time to get to where we need to be. But the technology in law enforcement now, I have 5 different drone operating teams that we can call out if we have a missing person like an Alzheimer's patient or if we have criminal activity. It's quicker to respond them than it is the helicopter. It's cheaper. And it's safer. There are obviously times we have to use our helicopter for certain things, but we probably cut the flight time in half by having these drones out now. So the technology's there. We're going to embrace it, but we just want to make sure that we're focused on keeping up with the growth in this county and using technology to our advantage. But that's a great question.
Yeah, the people in the neighborhood where I live in Fruitland Park, everybody has cameras. Yeah. So I think that's important for people to understand that it's not about an invasion of privacy. It's if there's an issue, that's why we all have those cameras. They need to remember that. And
yeah, so you can go to our website, www.lcso.org, lcso.org, and then you look for the tab that says, How Do I? Okay. And when you click on that, it'll say Camera Registry. And you can, there's a real simple process there, and then we know you have cameras on your home. And if we have something happen in your area, we will send you an email and ask you to please look at your cameras. And it's a game changer. It really is. Like I said, those cameras never sleep. The homeowners do, but the cameras don't.
No, they catch everything.
Yep.
Almost sometimes to the, when a car just passes by during the day even. But that's nice to know. It's not an invasion of privacy. It's just an alert that says, hey, this person has a camera. This happened here.
Yep. And we ask
willing to, go
we
back
ask
and look
we
at
ask
the
you as the
footage.
homeowner to look at your footage. We don't look at that. So, yep.
I had no idea. I'll go on and register.
I need to
We all
remember
have
to
our-
charge my cameras.
Yeah,
for
we all
my-
have those Ring doorbells. So yeah. So but I know you have to you don't get sworn in again officially, but you kind of get sworn in again for your upcoming term that you're serving. What do you want people to remember about you, Peyton, the person?
Oh wow! Now you really put me on the spot here today. I guess that I'm just who I am. I was born and raised in this county. This county was good to my family growing up. It was good to me growing up. I'm just so amazed at what the men and women at the sheriff's office do on a daily basis. It's my job to make sure they have everything they need to do their job. And honestly, I'm just proud to be a part of a great team that we have there. They are so professional and they do so much. And one of the things that I've really tried to do over the last 7.5 years as sheriff now is humanize this profession a little bit. When these men and women go home and they take off the green uniform, they have the same issues everybody else does, whether it's financial trouble, the hustle and bustle of getting their kids to and from the sporting events after a long day of work. But they do this job because they care. This is where their kids go to school or their parents shop, and they have a vested interest to make sure the quality of life in this county remains great. And I'm just amazed by that, and they do it so well. So I don't know if I answered your question,
You
but
did.
that
was a great answer. That was a great answer. Well, thank you, Sheriff, for joining us today. You're making history with us. This is our very first podcast here at Style. So we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been fun. Thank you.
That wraps it up for our first podcast here at Style. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. So what'd you think about the show today?
That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. And he was one of the easiest people to talk to. He's very down to earth for someone that has such a big job.
Right.
Really
I
easy
know
to
you
talk
were
to.
worried because it was our first podcast, but I think we knocked it out of the park on that.
And so did he.
And we had a great subject, and he's easy to talk to. He's a great guy.
Does a great job.
It
was a lot of fun. I actually had a lot of fun. It was fun. I had a lot of fun.
I told you, Phineas, it was going to be good.
Thanks for